Okay, so let's get on to administrative regulations. So, administrative regulations are put out by administrative agencies. You can have federal ones and you can have state ones. We'll concentrate on federal ones now. So, agencies like the EPA, Department of Labor, the IRS, they all put out their own rules and regulations. And when they first come out, when they're proposed and when they're first passed, they come out in a published um, in a publication called the Federal Register. So we were talking about the Congressional Record a minute ago, which is the daily activities of Congress. The Federal Register has all the daily activities of all the federal agencies. Okay, so they were initially put out in the Federal Register, but then once a year, all these new regulations are assigned a number and they're put into what we call the Code of Federal Regulations, or CFR. And we saw earlier in the Hamies, what was that on page 107, I think, where there were the different titles or, topics that they're put in under the Code of Federal Regulations, which correspond to the same ones as the U.S. Code. And you can look at find administrative regs on the GPO website, the govinfo.gov, or there's an ECFR. It's called ECFR. If you were looking at it in a book, I Google imaged it a minute ago. It's always a soft cover book. So it's just because they redo them every year. So it would just be kind of looked like that. And you'll have the title on it, like an individual book would have their specific. So this would be Title 49, Transportation. It would have up to whatever the current date is, and you could order that from the government publishing office if you were so inclined. Okay, so that's the CFR. Yeah, so daily publication, proposed rules, enacted rules would be in the Federal Register. Notice, presidential proclamations are in the Federal Register, but then when they're finalized, they're included in the CFR. And I just want to show you because I think part of the homework is using GovInfo to find things like regulations. So what I'm going to do when I'm going to under GovInfo, I'm just going to show you this. I go to Advanced, and then I say, what type of documents do I want? So if I want to go to Code of Federal Regulations, and then I type in whatever term I want. So say I want emissions, say I want an automobile or something like that. And then I click on search. And one of the things I forgot to do was to do the date, but you can do it. What date published. So these are my regulations that talked about automobile emissions from the Code of Federal Regulations. So I think, say I want the 2019 probably. Do I? Yeah. So I only want 2019. I would do that to limit it to what's current. So that tells me, say I only want ones in the transportation title. That limits it. And then I could look at all of those publications. So that's how you use gov.info. You go to Advanced, you choose what publications you want. Advanced, choose your publication. Say you want date is after, let's say 12/31/2019. And then CFR, and then you would put in your search terms over there. So that's kind of how you'd find things in the govinfo.gov. Court rules. So court rules are usually codified in the code you're looking at. Things like civil procedure evidence, you would even have noticed in when I'm in my books here. Oh no. hopefully. Oh, there it is. What was I looking at? Yeah, I have here the Code of Civil Procedure. So it's part of the code. So it's not separate, but it's a little different because it's relating to, processes. So remember when we're talking about the rules of evidence in the Peterson case, there was, even though it was part of the code, the courts were deferred to in their opinions of what the rules of evidence would be. So you're in the code, and then there might be additional local court rules, like, what the format is of a particular pleading, how many copies they need, all things like that. Now, uniform laws and model laws are not necessarily law. They're not necessarily primary laws. So the Uniform Commercial Code, the Model Penal Code. So this is, a group of legal scholars come up and they say, this is what we think, the model, the best law would be, and we should have it like throughout the country. And then some states adopt, say, the Model Penal Code as their criminal code, or the Uniform UCC, Uniform Commercial Code, as their commercial code. And then it's law, but it would still then be given a number in, or, be codified in there. There's also something called restatements, and restatements vary by topic. You can have the restatement of torts, the restatement of contracts, and same theory. So the restatement is put out by, I think it's the ALI, American Legal Institute, and they have a group of scholars, and they look through the common law, say on torts, and rather than looking at it as case law, they come up and turn it into like a code form. So strict liability applies when these three things apply. Boom, boom, boom. And then they'll give it a number, restatement section 402. And then, so it's nothing until a state looks at the restatement and says, like, you know what, we really like that restatement and we're going to adopt it as our law. So they're kind of a hybrid, because they're in and of itself, they're not law until they are actually adopted by a state. Okay, so different ways you can find code sections. If you have a site, we go to, say I want 735 5/2-615. Oh, I can go here and find that book because I can just see from my binding what sections it looks like. I can go through a topical index. Here's my index. I'd go by topic. There's also what is it, plain name index? What am I talking about? Popular name index. So Obamacare, right? I'd go to O, even though there's not, it's not really called Obamacare. It's called the Affordable Care Act, but you can go there and then it'll give you the site. So let me just show you what they have in Hamies. Boom. Is this Hamies? No. Well, let me just go here and then I can find it. Okay, my court rules, uniform laws. Okay, so we have our citation. We can pull it up, or you can go to, say, gpo.gov and here, my gov info, and say I want, the US code here. And I just search, and then from there I can find this particular citation that I'm interested in. Oh, I probably had the date because they don't have anything by date there. US code, search. Here's my US code. Okay, and maybe I would know my title. Find it that way. Although I think it's probably easier to go to law.cornell.edu, go to my code and look at it by title section to find it if I have the site. So say what they were looking for, 18 USC 242. So I go to 18. And then I go here And then I scroll down until I find 242. Here it would be. Okay, so there I go. That's how I find it. Using the LII if I have the site. Or I can look through the topics, right, that we saw, and like criminal law and kind of drill down that way. Where am I? Okay, so this is like my index. So I can use this and color of law, and then it'll tell me where to find it. So that's using popular names tables. So I can, Civil Rights Act, Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, that's yeah. And then popular name table. There we go. So those are the different ways you can find the code section. Usually you would go into the topical index and find generally what you're looking for. And from there you can kind of move along and page through. If you're on just say congress.gov. Yeah, I don't really want to be here. So I go to congress.gov. And I can go here. You see right there on the home page, it says US code. And I can just browse it by topic, or I can say I want hearsay. And then I hit search. And it's just going to look for that term, that for word. And then these are all of my rules of criminal procedure. And then see if here's my evidence sections, and I can find my exemptions to my hearsay rules. So that's how you would use it. So I think for your classwork, you're going to be using this. So this is probably easier using this US code section of the congress.gov, or you can use the LII, or you can use the gov.info. For the homework, is that it? Code sections, legislative materials. Okay, we did this. Where do we find the constitutions online, US code online? Only for the homework. Let me just jump over there for a sec. So I can show you briefly how to get what I'm asking for in the homework. Sorry, it's taking a minute. Okay, so you're going to pull up any of those GovInfo, congress.gov, or law.cornell.edu to find the name of the statutes here. Illinois General Assembly website. All right, I'll show you there. Okay, and then congress.gov, we went over that to find HR 1. So Palatine, I gave you that. Okay, and then let me just show you Illinois General Assembly website. Okay, well, here we go. It's ilga.gov. And you can it's under legislation and laws, and you can browse by topic, or use quotation marks for a phrase. So that was perfect, actually. So it's ilga.gov. One of the things whenever you're doing internet searching, look at your extension. Okay, are you at a good extension? So the Cornell one is .edu, so you know it's an educational institution. An official one will always have this gov extension. Okay, so I'm on the Illinois General Assembly website. I go to the compiled statutes. Okay, I can browse by section, if I'm interested in fire safety or whatever, human rights or something like that. But say I want to search, I can use the search to find something here like accommodation. And then this will search through my code for the word accommodation. Oh, I meant to do it in keyword, not in the bill number. Okay, so these are all, oh, but I don't want it in there. Compiled statutes. And I want to search here. Oh, I would search accommodation in there. And I'm going to go to advanced search because I don't like this. Oh. Accommodation. I can do that here. Or say I want minimum wage. This is the exact phrase. I would do that in advanced search. Minimum wage. There we go. Submit. Okay, and I don't want these bills. I want the actual code. Why am I? Oh, I know why. I have to search here. Okay, and those are the code section. I'm sorry for wasting your time with that. I have to search up there, or you can advanced search there as well. Or if I wanted to do by a keyword that's a phrase, I can do minimum wage here in quotes. Minimum wage. Okay, so that's all the times minimum wage is mentioned in the code. So that's how you would search that. But again, and then because we're on the Illinois General Assembly site, when I look at it, just like a scan in of the actual text, it's kind of hard to read, but you're not going to have annotations because we're going to, this official citation. So that is it for our lecture. Not like it wasn't godly long. Don't forget to attend our briefing section on WebEx, which is part of your learning module. All right, have a great week, and I will chat with you in the briefing session.